This is VSiN PrimeTime. Live from the Circus Sportsbook in downtown Las Vegas on VSiN, the sports betting network.
All right, here we go. VSiN PrimeTime on a Friday. Fired up for the next 4 hours, and it is a great 4 hours. Head is spinning. Got a lot going on here. We have a playoff game that is about to begin in the association. We have another one about an hour from now. We have a third game later tonight, which will be part of our primetime game of the night. We'll talk about that coming up in a little bit. The second round of the NFL draft is about to begin. We have playoff hockey, and we have Major League Baseball. So we have a lot to get to. We will try our best to cover all of our bases. But Youmans, you were on the desk here yesterday for the NFL draft. How you feeling as we get into the second round with some really big names still on the board?
Great, feeling great. It was a really good first round, a winner from a betting perspective, and I thought there was a lot that went on last night for us to talk about for that 4-hour show, and a lot to discuss again today. Brent Musburger is going to join us here in about 15 minutes. Might the Raiders have a surprise pick up their sleeve here in round two? We're going to talk about that with Brent, but I thought our draft show last night was great. You know, it's you and I did the draft show for years, one of my favorite shows of the year on VSiN. And I know you're happy that the quarterback prop went under 2.5.
Of course, 7-2 now to the under since we have had draft betting. It is a tradition like no other. So very excited about that. That was the big bet for me of the NFL draft. We'll talk a little bit more about this because I do have some thoughts on the Raiders and what is transpiring in the betting market for that. But we should get this out of the way right now. We do have this postseason game that is about to tip off out in Orlando. We have quite a big line move here. This number was as low as 3.5 with questions about Drew Holiday and Jason Tatum. I'm trying to get football names out of my mind. Well, Drew Holiday will not play today. Jason Tatum will not play today. Jason Tatum will. So Tatum, after missing game 2, back on the floor for this road game. Celtics got out to about a 6.5 point favorite. We're starting to see some buyback now. 5.5 is the number that we're settling in on here. I did buy in early on the Celtics, so got a good number. I can't wait for them to lose the game outright, but did lay 3.5 earlier today, Matt. So we'll be sweating that out as we watch the Celtics as 5.5 point favorites on the road against Orlando.
You laid 3.5, is that right?
Yep.
I mean, if there's one spot in this series where you think you got to play the Magic, it's tonight. But you got a good number with Boston. I'll tell you what, Jason Tatum's going to come back tonight, but he's going to have to shoot better than 1 for 8 from 3, like he did in Game 1. I've seen too many games like that out of Tatum. I think you can't feel bad about your bet no matter what happens because you got the Celtics at a cheap price. That's a discounted price. So you're in a pretty good position going into this tonight. You look up last night, and the Memphis Grizzlies are up about 30 on the OKC Thunder. And that's what always concerns you about betting the road favorite in Game 3 when the road favorite's up 2-0 in a series.
Yep.
Of course, the Grizzlies collapsed in the final 5 minutes, ended up losing the game by 6. But this is one spot tonight where you think the Magic would give their A effort, and if they don't, they're probably going to pack it in and get swept.
Yes, and we will talk about this throughout today because it's a theme with some of the plays as well. But today, of course, we have two teams that are down 2-0 back home. The Orlando Magic here against the Boston Celtics. And then coming up in an hour, the Indiana Pacers are taking on the Milwaukee Bucks, who are down 2-0 going back home. How about this? The game line here is Celtics minus 5.5. For the first half, over at Superbook, they are only a half-point favorite. They are a 1-point favorite here at Circa and most other places, or 1.5. So again, a 5.5-point favorite for the game is laying just 1.5 in the first half. It's absolute insanity when you look at it from that perspective. And in some spots, including Circa, the Magic are half-point favorites for the first quarter.
Yeah, I mean, it goes back to that team down 2-0 at home.
Yep.
It's going to come out strong in the first quarter, first half. We actually did see that with the Grizzlies last night.
We did.
And they end up losing the game. So it worked out that way. We'll see if it works out that way for the Magic. But that's a major line adjustment there.
It's absolute insanity. First quarter line for Milwaukee, who is a 5.5-point favorite here in this game, or excuse me, a 6-point favorite. In the first quarter, they are 3-point favorites. So again, the absolute nuttiness when you're talking about these numbers and where we're at right now. But as we get that out of the way, again, I got Celtics minus 3.5. You didn't have anything here?
No, I didn't play anything.
Okay, so that'll be the early sweat. We'll get to our game of the night here momentarily, but I did want to set the table for the draft, which is underway right now. Cleveland is on the clock with the first pick of the second round. The line move that we are monitoring here, the market that we are monitoring, of course, are the quarterbacks. Quarterbacks are always the talk of the town. Shedeur Sanders slipping out of the first round. You mentioned the quarterback prop going under. Big reason why is Shedeur does not go in the first. Neither does Tyler Shuck. Watched an interesting report right before we came on the air of Ian Rappaport saying that Tyler Shuck is in the mix to be the first quarterback taken today. So we will see if that is actually the case. But why I bring this up is in the last few hours, we have had some odds movement on the team to draft Shedeur Sanders. The Raiders, at one point a plus price, are now north of $2 to draft Shedeur Sanders. You shake your head. I am in complete agreement. I think it would be pure insanity if the Raiders were to use their second-round pick here on Shedeur Sanders. Now, here's the thing, and I think you would agree with this. It is not an anti-Shedeur thing. I believe that you changed the math when you selected Ashton Jeanty with your first pick. You said with that pick, we are going down the route of win now. We are drafting Ashton Jeanty to be part of a team that we believe we can push forward to be whatever we think it is. You cannot then follow that pick up with a quarterback who will not play for you this year. You cannot do that. And that is absolute insanity that they are maybe thinking about doing this.
Well, if they want to do it in the third round, I'm okay with it.
Sure.
If Sanders slips all the way to the third and you get him, a quarterback who's once considered a top 10 draft prospect, you get him in the third round, fine. You can't do it in the second round. You've got to draft a player that can help your offensive line or defensive line immediately.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's so many good players on the board right now. You can't draft a quarterback project here in the second round, but it looks like the Raiders are talking about it because the betting steam, I think at 2:30 today when I talked to Chuck Esposito, Red Rock Sportsbook Director, he loves the draft too, and he said, I don't know, maybe the Raiders are in play for Shedeur Sanders. At that point, he was around minus 120 to minus 150. The Raiders, like you say, now it's up around minus 250. So there's a lot of belief out there that the Raiders do have that surprise up their sleeve and are going to go with the quarterback, Shedeur Sanders. I think you let him go. And if he happens to be there in the third round when you pick, fine, you can take him then. If not, he might fall all the way to the Steelers in the third round.
Sure. You are a team that has – go look at the Raiders' cornerback depth chart. Cornerback. They have nothing. Their cornerback depth chart is an absolute mess. Their defensive line, 3 of the 4 penciled-in starters are all coming off injuries which ended their seasons to certain degrees. A couple of them are long-in-the-tooth veterans as well. Linebacking core, you tell me if you can name one of the guys. Right? You need so much help.
If you got Carson Schlesinger, the linebacker from UCLA, who's sitting there.
Yeah.
If you got Will Johnson, the cornerback from Michigan, who's sitting, how could you draft Shedeur Sanders?
I'm with you.
Anyway, the Browns are on the clock right now. I had these clips pulled for a show last night. We never talked about them. Mina Kimes of ESPN and a couple others talking about Jason McCourty, former Patriots player, talking about Jalen Milroe being a first-round pick and possibly being the steal of the draft as far as quarterbacks. Do you think the Browns would go with Milroe here with the first pick of the second round?
I think they could.
It doesn't seem like it.
I mean, we're hearing nothing about it.
I know. We're not hearing anything about it today. But before the draft, there was all this talk, all this media hype that Jalen Milroe could be a first-round pick. He's the best running quarterback we've ever seen, better than Lamar Jackson, blah, blah, blah. And he's still on the board, and there's no talk about the Browns taking him right now. We'll see if that's what happens, but there has not been a buzz about it today. The pick is in, by the way.
Yes, I was going to say, Mark Garofalo reporting that the Browns did receive some trade calls, but they are staying put and picking at number 33. So we will see if this is indeed a quarterback or if you're just going to continue to stockpile. Because I thought the other interesting aspect of yesterday that we saw that was kind of quiet but loud at the same time, we saw the Rams and the not the Falcons. Who did the Falcons trade with? No, the Falcons traded with the Rams. Oh, and the Browns, excuse me. The Browns got another first-round pick. So the Rams and the Browns both got 2 first-round picks next year. I think that we are quietly watching teams amass assets to move up to go and get potentially Arch Manning next year.
It could be. A source in Texas told me last week they think Arch is going to stay there for 2 more years.
That's a possibility.
Yeah.
I thought Mike Tilly made a great point when he talked with Mitch and I last week when I was filling in, which he said, you tell me the last Manning that left early. And it was a great point because obviously Eli and Peyton stayed.
All right, the family needs the money.
It's not like the family needs the money.
And you know what? You can make pretty good money as a college quarterback right now.
Well, you tell me, too, because I made this argument. I did local radio this morning, and I made this argument. Is there actually going to be a quarterback ever in history that's going to have more leverage against both the NFL and college than Arch Manning at the end of next year? If he plays the way we all expect him to play, he is going to be able to look at both Texas and the National Football League and demand whatever he wants.
Sure.
And that is going to be incredible to see if that's the case. And next year's quarterback class, by all projections, does seem much better than this one. So even if Arch doesn't come out, having those 2 first-round picks for both of those teams, setting themselves up very nicely for next year. So very much looking forward to it, but also looking forward to later this evening. So let's get to it.
There he is.
We got game of the night?
Carson Schlesinger, linebacker from UCLA, the first pick of the second round.
Okay, so we're not.
Okay,
let's do it.
The lights are on and the stakes are high. It's the primetime game of the night.
A lot of chaos, but it's a chaotic time. There's a lot going on. Our primetime game of the night later this evening, it happens to be in Southern California. Or it should be, Minnesota. The land of the lakes?
Land of Lakes.
There we go.
Yep.
3.5 point spread in favor of Minnesota with a total that has been bet up from 207.5 to 209. Can the Timberwolves get it done and take a 2-1 series lead? I very much lean toward, yes, the Timberwolves can do it. I thought I watched the team in Game 2, Matt, in L.A., that was very much like, we got to split. Let's just get in and get out of here. But still, through 2 games, Lakers' offense has been very bad.
That's why playoff series are bet the way they are, right? When the road team wins the first game, sometimes they check out in the second game. Well, we did what we had to do. We came to L.A. and got one, and that's it. And the T-Wolves played like that that was Tuesday night, right?
Yep.
How about the three-point shooting? T-Wolves hit 21 threes in Game 1. In Game 2, they shot 5 for 25.
We'll have more on this game, but that is going to be a very big reason why. But you heard Matt Youmans' excitement. The first pick of the second round, UCLA linebacker Carson Schlesinger.
I like the pick.
Is the selection.
Very solid pick for the Browns.
Going defense, and you got to do it. We continue on when we come back. The Godfather, Brent Musburger, is going to join us next.
This is VSiN PrimeTime on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
All right, the pick is in for the Seattle Seahawks, who have traded up with the Tennessee Titans to get the 35th overall selection. We are waiting to see who that is. So that is going to be a lot of fun. We saw Carson Schlesinger out of UCLA go to the Cleveland Browns with the first pick of the second round. Wide receiver Jaden Higgins goes off the board to the Houston Texans, and now we wait with bated breath to see whether or not the Seahawks will make a dramatic move or not at this selection. But with that, we head out to the Progressive Guest Line and welcome in the man, the myth, the legend, Brent Musburger, who is nice enough to give us some time here today. Although, Brent, I believe you're still recovering after what I assume to be a wild Raiders draft party where I am assuming everybody was very happy with the first pick, Ashton Jeanty out of Boise State.
Yeah, and at any time, JVT, you can go to a party where the alcohol is free. You bet, baby. It's a good time.
So what was the environment like, Brent, and did you share the sentiment of what I polled to be? And I was on local radio today. It seemed like a lot in Las Vegas and around the team were very happy with the selection of Ashton Jeanty. Did you echo those sentiments?
Yeah, absolutely. There were a lot of rumors started, and now we know where they came from, the Jaguars. They wanted to jump up as much as they could in the process, and they were able to get their hands on Travis Hunter. But I thought all along that Jeanty was going to be available. I didn't, running backs, yes, they found new life in the National Football League, but that doesn't mean you should trade up to get one, okay? But if somebody like Jeanty falls into your lap, you go for it. Pete Carroll, as a coach, likes A, defense, and B, the running game, okay? That's his MO, and Jeanty was available. And we will see. He's a touch undersized to last a long time. That would be my only little nitpick about him. But I love the fact that he battles as a pass blocker. Pass protection is something they don't talk about much about running backs. But believe me, come 3rd and 8, 3rd and 6, you better have a running back there who can pick up a blitzer or a defensive tackle who breaks free up the middle of the line. And Jeanty takes the big boys on. The other thing I like about him, going to his Boise State days, I watched him against Abdul Carter and Penn State in a playoff game. He can accelerate quickly. Josh Jacobs was a great battler and could make his own holes and could get you 10, 12 yards. Well, Jeanty can get you 20, 25 yards. He's got a little bit better acceleration than Josh has. So, yeah, I think it was a terrific pick falling into their arms right there, pick number 6.
Yeah, good point about Jeanty as blocker. That's one thing I always liked about Zeke Elliott. He can pick up the blitzes. And you also have to have a running back who can be a weapon as a pass catcher out of the backfield. Jeanty can play all 3 downs. And, he's going to be valuable to the Raiders in that way. Brent, we're waiting here. I think the Raiders are about 3 picks away. The Seahawks are on the clock here. 35th pick overall in the second round. The Raiders coming up. Do you think they have a surprise up their sleeve? Might they go with Shedeur Sanders as a quarterback, and would you approve of that play or not?
Well, if they do go in that direction, then Tom Brady has got great impact on this draft. Personally, and speaking a little bit for Pete Carroll, having watched him in drafts past with the Seahawks, they should not go that way. They've got a veteran quarterback. They made a trade for Geno Smith. And if you wait until about the 5th or 6th round, there's still going to be a couple of guys who come in and battle for that backup position. Now, what I said about I wouldn't go that way doesn't mean I don't think Shedeur Sanders can play in the National Football League. It has nothing to do with it. But if I am sitting there, as the Raiders are, I would look for a defensive back. There's a good corner who played at Michigan who has not been drafted.
Will Johnson.
An injury problem. Yeah. And I honestly would go for a corner if I was the Raiders, and my number 2 selection would be a wide receiver. That's who I'm hoping they address here tonight. They definitely need help on the corners.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm with you on that. That's what I said. If he's on the board, Will Johnson, the corner from Michigan, I think the Raiders got to take him, don't you?
I would definitely agree. And before you go next with Brent, I just wanted to note that it looks like Quinshawn Judkins is going to go to the Cleveland Browns here with the 4th pick of the second round, according to reports.
So the Seahawks took a safety, right?
Yep. They went with the safety out of South Carolina, whose name escapes me.
It's a difficult name to pronounce.
Yes.
Let's put it that way. And then after that, the Browns are going with who?
Quinshawn Judkins, yes. And Nick
Manawari,
yes, is Manawari, who is the safety out of South Carolina. So.
That's interesting. Judkins goes before his teammate Travion Henderson. Brent, what did you make of the swap, number 5 and number 2, with the Jaguars giving away a lot to move up to get Travis Hunter?
Yeah, they paid a high price, but if Travis is the real deal on both sides of the ball, and I'm assuming that he could be your number 2 receiver. Now I'm talking about the Jaguars, but you could use him in special situations on defense. That's a very elite player. I guess I'm a little bit surprised that the Browns surrendered him, but as you point out, the Jaguars gave up a lot, and the Browns are not going to be a championship contender with just one player. So it was a good trade from the Browns' standpoint. I know the Brown fans are very unhappy because Travis Hunter was the big name coming into the draft, best all-around athlete. If he didn't need a quarterback, the Titans had to go for a quarterback. So we shall see how it works out in the long run. But Travis Hunter strikes me as a Pro Bowl player right from being a rookie. I think he's just a great all-around player.
All right, Brent, how about aside from the Ashton Genty pick and what we've talked about, let's say in the top 5, give me a pick that you really, really liked and one that I think maybe were puzzled by last night.
Well, listen, Howie Roseman, the general manager of the Philadelphia Eagles, is the best general manager in all of football. And what he did last night with 31 and 32, to me, just shows you how good he is. He has a player that he wants from Alabama, a defensive player, a linebacker that he needs because he lost one in free agency. He could not make a deal earlier with the Rams. So he sat there in Kansas City, the team they beat in the Super Bowls, picking ahead of him, okay? Now, he's not worried about the Chiefs taking the linebacker, but he is worried about the Chiefs perhaps trading with another team, and he would lose him. So what Howie did is quickly make a swap with the Chiefs so he could jump in there and get the linebacker he's had his eye on. I thought the bottom of the draft, the big guys, the championship contenders, I thought it was more interesting than it normally is, and Roseman was right at the top of. You look back in the last 5 or 6 years of Howie's picks in the first round, I was very disappointed when the Raiders didn't take Jalen Carter, okay? Jalen had a problem, an automobile accident in which somebody died down in Athens, Georgia, okay? But every report on him, his character was outstanding. He wasn't the driver of the car that killed the other passenger. He was a rider, actually. And so Jalen Carter, Roseman went for him right away. I think it was 9th pick, 10th pick, whatever it was. And he's an all-pro defensive lineman. You just take a look at who Roseman drafts and you watch him the rest of the way. That's why the Eagles are Super Bowl champions, and that is a team like that, very well run front office, and Howie's the leader of the band.
Brent Musburger with us, of course, here at VSiN, the Godfather, known as it, the Progressive Guest Line. Brent, we just get a report, and this has been the rumblings, that Tyler Shuck is gaining momentum as being the first quarterback selected today over Shedeur. Do you get this dynamic of what's going on with Shedeur Sanders and why a guy like Shuck would be ahead of him?
Well, I don't know Shuck at all, to tell you the truth. I don't think I saw a Louisville game. I watched Shedeur. I don't have a strong feeling one way or the other. It's interesting that the President of the United States found time on his busy schedule to stand up for genetic athletes this afternoon. But that report from the one assistant coach is a little bit troubling about his interview. And I think there are some teams in the National Football League who are afraid that if they draft Shedeur and they don't give immediate playing time, they're going to hear from Dion publicly. And there's a lot at play here with the Sanders family. I don't have a strong opinion one way or the other. When I watched him, I thought he was efficient, got the job done. Of course, he had Travis Hunter on the receiving end. So I don't have a strong feeling one way or the other. I am a little bit surprised tonight that Cleveland has not taken him with one of their two picks. I thought he would go. He was a heavy betting favorite on DraftKings for the Browns to take him, okay? And it was an upset, obviously. In the first round, I thought the most interesting bet was over or under 2.5 on the quarterbacks. And then because of Sanders falling completely out of it, that bet had no chance. It just wasn't going to pay off. So we will see. I am still wondering if someone is going to step up and take him. We shall see. Are the Raiders on the clock right now, JVT? Weren't they up right now?
They are, but they just traded back with the Miami Dolphins, so the Dolphins have taken their pick.
So they had no interest in taking Shedeur Sanders. And now that's interesting. When you're a team trying to get back in contention, you got to trade, you got to get extra players, and so we will see what happens. But the Shedeur Sanders watch continues, ladies and gentlemen.
Brent, thank you very much. We appreciate it. Be careful at AC/DC.
I'm on the highway to hell, baby.
Brent Musburger, the Godfather here on the Progressive Guest Line. Thanks, Brent. We appreciate it. We'll come back. Keep an eye on the draft here on VSiN PrimeTime.
This is VSiN PrimeTime on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
America's favorite trend on life support here, Matt Youmans. With 4.5 minutes left to go, Jason Tatum has arrived in Orlando and has decided to bring his A game. A tough finish to the basket, and the Boston Celtics are up 21-14 in the first quarter, 4:36 left to go. I say America's favorite trend because everybody likes to pile on. First quarter, first half for the team down 2-0 going back home. Well, if you piled on and got a bad number, you're in a little bit of a tough spot here. Orlando closed as a half-point favorite here at Circa in the first quarter. We'll worry about the first half when it comes around, but
right.
Tough start for the Orlando Magic.
Yeah, it is. Paolo Banchero just bricked the first of two free throws, made the second one, 21-15. Celtics 9.5-point favorites live. Would you think about taking the 9.5 with Orlando here? You laid 3.5. I mean, you set yourself up with a middle. Do you try to do that?
I think you can. If you're in my position, you could think about it. I think Boston is way better than Orlando, and even without Drew Holiday out there, you are a team that doesn't really. I shouldn't say doesn't need to worry about the opposing backcourt, but there are no real true offensive threats that are going to burn you outside of maybe Cole Anthony on a possession.
Right.
So what I'm saying is I think the gap between these two teams is so much larger with Tatum out there that I don't think I'd worry about getting in on Orlando until a little bit later in the game. I think the Celtics have the ability to cover the closing number and blow the doors off of Orlando with Tatum back out there. It's just a massive math battle. And they haven't even shot the ball that well through 2 games. One would assume that at some point the classic Celtics offense that we know is going to show up. And right now, it looks like it might be here because they are burning this team in the first quarter with 22 points against the best defense in the field with about 4:24 left to go.
Yeah, I'm just talking about from a betting perspective when you lay 3.5. I think as far as you go, I'd probably wait a little bit and see if I could
Yeah.
get maybe 11.5 or something like that. Get double digits with the Magic and at least bet back maybe a percentage of what you played to set up a middle. Because you know this game's going to tighten up here at some point. Celtics go cold from 3, and they might pull away and win the game, but at some point I think this thing's going to tighten up. Celtics off to a hot start. Patriots on the clock. You know what's interesting? Will Johnson, the cornerback from Michigan, is available. Probably the highest. He's definitely the highest-rated player pre-draft. Still on the board.
Yeah.
The Raiders just traded back, about 11 or 12 spots in the second round. I know Will Johnson's got some knee issues that concern some teams, but this is a guy who was widely considered a top 10 draft pick.
Yep.
And he's still on the board. And I'm really surprised that the Raiders need defensive help, and they didn't draft him.
Correct. And by the way, he will not be his wait will be a little bit longer. TreVeyon Henderson is the selection here
By
for
the
the New England
Patriots,
Patriots.
right?
Yep. I actually like that. Here's the thing. The Patriots clearly have a plan. We have a young quarterback. Let's go get him help. Let's draft an offensive lineman. Let's draft a running back that we can work our ground game with. We love to run the ball, especially McDaniels out there setting up our guy. We know what Mike Vrabel wants to do as well. Like, there's a clear objective and path here for a team like the Patriots. So far, kind of dig what the Patriots are doing draft-wise.
I do too. I thought they could have traded back from 4 if they wanted to and still gotten Will Campbell or another offensive lineman who's very similar. But again, you get offensive line help. You get TreVeyon Henderson, who really talented running back. Pick number 38, I think that's actually pretty good value. We're talking about Ashton Genty at number 6. You got to like the value you're getting with TreVeyon Henderson, number 38.
I mean, I think
this is a prime time when you should be looking for running backs in the draft.
Right, and this is, again, going back to what we've talked about with the Raiders, which is the flaw in their plan, is it's not about Genty himself. Ashton Genty is a very good player, but given where you're at as a team, you need a lot. And so to use a 6th overall pick on just a running back when you could fill many other holes on your roster, any one of the many holes, and then get the running back a little bit later, especially in a draft like this where you're sitting on the board, TreVeyon Henderson could have been yours, right? Any of these other guys that are a little bit after him still on the board, but that is neither here nor there as they traded back, so we'll see. Maybe they have a read on Johnson. Maybe they're going to trade back and hope that he's still there. If you get him in the mid-second round, it's not the worst spot to be in, but I have seen, not reports, but indications that the knee issue is similar to Lonzo Ball, which that might not be great because Lonzo Ball has dealt with that knee issue for a very long time, and it's a lot of time with Chicago. So maybe that is something that is scaring teams off to the point where it's not worth it.
Obviously, it's scaring teams off.
Yep.
I think at some point it's going to be worth it, though. This guy's an elite cornerback. By the way, Celtics Magic now tied at 22.
Yep.
Didn't take long for that game to tighten up, did it? Celtics still 6.5-point favorites live, though. And Celtics minus $3 on the money line. I liked his pick for the Patriots. He's a home run hitter. Quinshon Judkins, the other running back from Ohio State who just went, he's a power back. I like Judkins. It's just what you prefer. Do you want more power? Do you want more speed? TreVeyon Henderson's a 4.43 guy, and it's going to be a quality pick for the Patriots in the second round. Hey, ESPN spent a lot of time today talking about Shedeur Sanders and why he slid in the draft. I thought Kyle Brandt did a great thing on ESPN this afternoon. He talked for about 2 minutes about Cam Skattebo, the running back from Arizona State. And they showed highlight clips. I saw that, I think it was Daniel Jeremiah has Cam Skattebo ranked as a 102nd player on the big board before the draft. I think that's a little bit low. That's the type of guy you can pick up in the third round, too. You talk about a quality running back like that, you're going to be able to get in the third round tonight.
You're hoping he's drafted earlier than that, so you don't have to sweat about it.
120.5 is the draft prop I've got on Skattebo.
That's about mid-4th round for our audience.
Yeah, right, middle of the fourth round. So hopefully he's called tonight. I'd be really surprised if he's not. But that's value in a running back pick. If you're getting a guy like that in the second round, TreVeyon Henderson or Cam Skattebo in the third round, I think that's a lot more value than you're getting, even though we like Ashton Genty taking a running back like that at number 6 overall. Kyle Brandt called Skattebo, by the way, quote, my favorite player in this draft. Of course, he likes violent runners, and that's what Skattebo is. So the Bears are on the clock. Bears threw a curveball last night, I thought, by taking Colston Loveland, tight end for Michigan, instead of Tyler Warren.
We'll take it.
And, well, you will. I won't.
Yep.
I had Tyler Warren under 10.5.
Oh, sorry.
I thought he was going to go the Jets at 7 or the Bears at 10. Yeah. But they went with Loveland, and Colts How about the Indy Colts taking Tyler Warren?
I
like that pick for the Colts.
You like it because they have neglected the tight end position for a very long time.
And they got 2 quarterbacks that need help.
Absolutely. Right. And to give them a pass catcher like that with, I would say, a wide receiver core that's like sneaky solid, right? Like Josh Downs has been absolutely an incredible find. Pittman's a solid B receiver. We'll see what Adonai Mitchell becomes, but he's got at least some really good pop, and there was a lot of times where he wasn't really on the same page with Anthony Richardson's last year, but you could see on tape that he was generating explosive plays. So there's some potential there with this Indy offense, and adding to a tight end position, which has been a nightmare, I would say, since Dallas freaking Clark, which has been a very long time for those who don't
44.
remember. Right, with the tape fingers, right? Like it's been a long time since the Colts have had a really good tight end. So I was down to clown with that one. When they sent that pick up. I do want to hit some news really quickly. We can get to this game on the other side, but we do have a change in the starting lineup for the Milwaukee Bucks tonight. Gary Trent Jr. will start in place of Taurean Prince today. So did want to note that. And also wanted to note, if you're a VSiN Pro subscriber, since we're on the topic, go to VSiN.com/subscribe, sign up for our summer special, check it out, become a VSiN Pro subscriber for less than $60. And also check out our NBA Playoff Challenge, which is up right now. 15 contestants, 570 picks for the entire NBA playoffs amongst all of us. Picks posted an hour before the games begin. It's a fun contest where a lot of us here at the Vegas Stats and Information Network are involved. A shout out to Steve Fezzik, who is in first place right now with 11 points. He has made 16 plays to this point. I trail by 3. I've made 12. Myself, Alex Christensen, and Doug Kazarian all tied in second place with 8 points. So a fun contest, and there's a lot of people in the running right now, and quite a few people with some pretty good records. Because remember, we have to make 20 selections in the first round before the end of the first round. So you can do it as however you want. You can save your picks until the last few days, or you can try to go hard and get them all out of the way. Either way, though, it's been a fun contest. You can check it out at VSiN.com.
Did Drew Dinsick start to make picks yet?
He did. He did. I don't know if that was part of the strategy, but he has realized he is in the contest. Yes.
All right, the Chicago Bears about to announce their pick here in the second round. This will be number 39 overall, and we'll see if Ben Johnson goes offense again. Pick's about to be announced. How about the total decision in that Warriors-Rockets game a couple nights ago? I think the total was 204. Didn't it land on 203?
Yeah.
And the Rockets had 4 horrendous possessions in a row at the end of the game.
Yes.
Did you play that total?
No, I didn't. But how about this yesterday? Did you guys? I know you guys were busy with the draft. Did you notice this terrible beat yesterday? The Memphis Grizzlies team total, 109.5.
Did not score in the final.
They didn't
5
score
minutes.
the last 4 minutes and 37 seconds or so, and they had 108 points, and they did not score for the last 4.5 minutes to go
out here in Derek Stevens' box last night watching the draft and the end of that game, and I could not believe the incompetence on offense by the Grizzlies in the last 4.5 minutes of that game.
Absolute. The term I used, I'll use it one more time: utter buffoonery.
Yeah. It was.
Complete.
How about this pick by the Bears? I do like this pick by the Bears.
Oh, okay.
Luther Burden, wide receiver from Missouri to Chicago. At number 39, Ben Johnson goes offense. Again, he's trying to get Caleb Williams as much help as possible. I do like this play for the Bears as well.
You also like the fact that the Orlando Magic have taken a 2-point lead over the Boston Celtics. 2.5 minutes left to go again. They're about a half-point favorite or half-point underdog in the first quarter. Can they get it done down 2-0? We will find out in the series, that is. When we come back, give you a full preview of what's going to happen at 5 p.m. Pacific time between the Pacers and the Bucks.
This is VSiN PrimeTime on VSiN, the sports betting network.
We got a sweat in the first quarter. A 12-0 run finally broken. That run in favor of the Orlando Magic. They trailed 22-15. It was 27-22 before a bucket mercifully ended the run there for the Magic. Orlando now on defense with 1:18 left to go, up by 3. At stake, a first quarter spread. So we will see what exactly transpires here. But again, the big trend that everybody likes to play, first quarter, first half, worked out yesterday for the team down 2-0 in the Memphis Grizzlies. The question is, will it work today for the Orlando Magic? But you called it, Matt. Can this defense get them back into it? The answer was yes.
Got back into it quickly. Yeah, it was, like you said, 22-15, and all of a sudden the Magic led 27-22. Celtics right now trail by 3. For some reason, Peyton Pritchard stepped out of bounds there when he received the pass from Jason Tatum. That's a careless mistake. Celtics 5.5-point favorites live. Total 201.5. 1.5. And what'd you say the first quarter line is here?
Half point, either way, depending on where you look. Yep.
It's going to come down to, Magic are going to cover that. 29-24 with 22 seconds left in the quarter.
All right, so I got something for you. A bit of trivia here. Peyton Pritchard played college basketball where?
Oregon.
Do you know who Oregon's starting quarterback was in the year 2020?
Tyler Shuck.
Do you know who just got drafted by the New Orleans Saints?
Tyler Shuck.
Wow, look at that, huh? It all comes full circle.
You know where Tyler Shuck also played college football?
I'm going to go, let's see, Texas Tech.
Texas Tech.
And Louisville.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's good enough. Texas Tech also produced Patrick Mahomes.
Yep.
The Saints at one point, Sean Payton claims he wanted to draft Patrick Mahomes. He got jumped by the Chiefs.
Doc Rivers' statement.
Who drafted Mahomes. Now the Saints get their guy. Finally, it's Tyler Shuck.
Unbelievable.
And he is the third quarterback off the board. How about that? No Shedeur Sanders. Still, we are sitting at pick number 41. The Bills on the clock. The Bills are not going to take him. They might trade the pick, but you have 3 minutes
they
left
have
on
actually.
the
The
clock.
Bears are now, let's see.
The Bears
like,
again?
Let's see, trading the number 41 pick. That's where we're at right now, right?
Yeah.
Yep, so it looks like we are moving this around. I'll get the confirmation right now. But
All right, so
a lot of
anyway,
noise.
let's Mel Kiper Jr. just losing his mind on ESPN last night, over and over and over again about Shedeur Sanders not being picked in the first round. Everybody's tired of Mel Kiper Jr., but let's hear about Adam Schefter. Let's hear from Schefter talking about where Shedeur Sanders might go in the second round tonight. A lot of betting interest surrounding this pick.
Tyler Shuck is going to figure in there tonight, and I won't be surprised if Tyler Shuck goes ahead of Shedeur Sanders tonight. Can you imagine if Jackson Dart and Tyler Shuck both wind up being drafted ahead of Shedeur Sanders? I think there are not a lot of teams that love the idea of drafting Shedeur, and I think now we're at the point where unless he goes in the third round, number 83, to the Pittsburgh Steelers, who had a discussion about him on the board at number 21, I think we make it a team that we never connected to him.
Okay. Can I tell you my team?
Yeah, not the Raiders, is it?
No. What about the Jets?
Jets?
Look, you just gave Fields some money, but it's
Right.
fine. Again, the way you construct these contracts, you can get out of it soon, and
Oh, no doubt.
he can sit there and learn under Fields. And you need a quarterback of the future. I like Justin Fields, but I don't know if he's like the guy for the next 10 years.
Right.
So why not a team like the Jets?
I could buy that. This is more of a reach, but how about the Cowboys?
Sure.
If you want to get out from underneath that Dak contract at some point, you want to deal Dak, and Shedeur Sanders could be a backup option for the Cowboys. End of the first quarter, by the way, 31-27, Magic over the Celtics.
Magic get there, baby. So, by the way, I wanted to clarify something.
Yeah.
The Bears did have this pick. The Bills traded up for the
okay.
Bears pick at number 41. So that's where my confusion was. Originally the Bears selection. Bills are now on the clock.
Bills on the clock here, and I'm not sure which way they're going to go. Pick number 41, but again, the Raiders coming up soon. Will Johnson, the corner from Michigan, still out there. Shedeur Sanders still out there. And how about that? Adam Schefter called it. Tyler Shuck going tonight before Sanders, and he goes to the Saints at number 40. So now you're starting to really narrow this thing down. How many teams are in the quarterback market?
Right.
Not many. You got the Browns, right?
Yep.
The Steelers.
Mm-hmm.
Who else?
That's why I think it's one of these teams like the sneaky,
Rams. I mean, that
Right,
at this
that's-
point, you're looking for a backup.
Yeah, or just like these teams that have a like tepid or short scenario at quarterback, I'll call it for lack of a better term. Like you mentioned the Rams. Yeah, you just signed Matthew Stafford, but like if Sean McVay's looking around in the third round and going, yeah, we don't really have anybody past Stafford's, short contract. Why don't we go and get a guy we can develop? That would be Shedeur. I think you're looking in that during. That's why I brought up the Jets. The Jets, a team that is maybe looking forward with a little bit of a later round pick and going, you know what, let's go ahead and give this a shot and see if we can develop him to have him ready a little bit further down the road. I mean, we see it all the time with some of these teams. And, I mean, the other part is, like you're kind of alluding to, Seattle, right? Seattle could be a team that would use a late-round pick on a quarterback that
Certainly
they could
an
use
option.
for
Yeah.
years and years down the road. I will throw out one more that could be a little bit of a wild card, but in the later rounds, if it gets to that point, does a team like, I don't know, Arizona, Miami look around and go, we could bring another quarterback into the
I
building?
definitely think the Cardinals and Dolphins got to be looking for a quarterback in the middle rounds tonight.
Sure. San Francisco, I know that the rumors are abound that they're, unless I missed something, did they officially sign Brock Purdy yet?
They're gonna sign Purdy.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Purdy's
Okay.
going to get the deal with San Francisco, but Niners could draft a backup quarterback too.
Sure. I think those are the teams you're looking for, though, right? And I think that's the point you're making.
Yeah.
Those
Teams
are
like the Niners, Rams. Immediately, though, I think right now, if I had to say where is Shedeur Sanders going to go, I'd probably say the Steelers in the third round.
Yeah, I would
Where's
think so.
Jalen Milroe, quarterback from Alabama? Where's he going to go?
Mm-hmm.
I think the Browns got a bunch of picks. Why not?
They do.
There are a lot of dots connecting Milroe to the Browns before the draft. Now would be the time I think the Browns can make a move for Milroe.
Browns have right now in the third round, they have 1, 2. I think they have 2 third-round picks at this point. So that is something. And then, of course, they pick right at the top of the fourth round as well. So if you want to move up to go and get them, whatever it is, like they do have quite a few picks in the next round and a half.
Sanders is off the board. It's T.J. Sanders, defensive tackle from South Carolina, going to the Bills at number 41. I'm trying to speak it into existence, too, because I've got Jalen Milroe to the Browns at plus 230.
That's the other aspect.
Sanders to the
Milroe.
Steelers, right? Sanders to the Steelers at plus 550.
Because if you look at it from the perspective of who gives you, in the later rounds, who would you rather take a shot on? Is it the athletic freak in Jalen Milroe that actually does have I think you and I talked about this months ago. From a passing standpoint, you can make the argument he's ahead of Anthony Richardson, who was a top 4 pick.
Very
similar. Similar, but I think he's a little bit ahead of where Anthony Richardson is as a actual thrower of the football when it comes to accuracy, ever so slightly. So why wouldn't you take a shot on that and say, all right, let's do that instead of Shedeur Sanders? That you don't want to call it baggage because there's a negative connotation, but there is some thought of maybe you just don't want to deal with whatever comes with that if that's going to be the case.
Well, Sanders also a distraction too, right? Because the media is going to be all over it. Anytime the starter struggles, when's Shedeur going to get his shot? And as a coach, you don't want to deal with that nonsense. I think the Steelers, if he's there in the third, have to take him. But I'm with you there. Browns and Milroe makes a lot of sense. Tommy Rees, the offensive coordinator for the Browns, was at Alabama, and he coached Milroe. And I think it makes a lot of sense to connect Milroe and the Browns, especially at this point in the draft.
Yep.
I didn't like it as a first-round pick. You start to get late second, third round. Why not take a shot with, like you said, an athletic freak like Jalen Milroe?
And remember,
Browns have made worse moves at quarterback.
No, yes, they have. And we should remember again, if you're just joining us, that there was a late market move before the start of the second round that made the Raiders the odds-on favorite to select Shedeur Sanders, and we still have yet to see them pick. They did trade back. So we could be having this whole conversation, and it could still be the Raiders.
Could be. When you say odds-on favorite, by the way, is that still up? Or
I can't. It was not up when I went to go look, so I think maybe they pulled it down before the start of the second round because the odds that I was looking at were right before we got on the air.
DraftKings, right?
Yes, and that was DraftKings. And right now, at least my screen and where I'm geolocated, I cannot see any draft odds at this point. So
I don't see that up right now either. I think that's taken off the board. But when you say odds-on favorite, Shedeur Sanders,
Raiders were the
up to
odds-on favorite.
Yeah, Raiders for Sanders were minus 250.
Yes,
that's crazy.
We have the pick here, too. Mason Taylor out of LSU is going to the New York Jets.
Apparently the Jets are not ready to take a quarterback.
No. And that makes sense.
That doesn't make – yeah.
You needed
you don't want to do it
end
in the second round, yeah.
Yep, you needed a tight end, so let's see.
I thought the Jets might take Tyler Warren with the number 7 pick. Instead, they go offensive line, which was a really good pick, Armand Mimbu from Missouri. And now they go tight end in the second round. So I think the Jets had a plan, right?
Yep, indeed they did. All right, on the other side, we are going to get to our matchup between the Milwaukee Bucks and the Indiana Pacers. So that'll be good fun because we have a tight one. And I call it a play of principle. We've got Pacers plus 5.5 first half, Matt. It's 5.5.
It's a crazy number.
When the number for the game is 6 is
I'm going to say on
ridiculous.
principle, you deserve to win that bet.
Yes, but there have been many times on principle I've deserved to win things and it has not happened.
It didn't happen for the Celtics in the first quarter tonight, but you didn't bet that, right?
No, I have them for the game at minus 3.5. So I always like to poo-poo that, but I did not bet it at this point right now. Folks, check out Edge Boost. If you're so inclined, the financial platform for smart bettors. You can get cashback rewards and no usage costs. Sign up today. Go to edgeboost.bet and use the promo code PRIME if you're watching on YouTube TV. Just hold up the camera up to that QR code and sign up now. Promo code is PRIME, P-R-I-M-E. And check out Edge Boost to get your cashback rewards. No usage costs. Sign up today, edgeboost.bet.